Welcome everybody to today's seminar, which is all about learning around careers in coding, kickstarting your career in coding. And we're joined by one of our ACE students, Liz. We're going to be hearing about her experience and her journey with learning people. Thanks for sending in your questions. If you have, we're going to answer those questions throughout this session. And it's going to probably take around 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on how we go. A little intro for me is I'm Jono. I'm head of marketing here at Learning People. I'm based over in Brighton, just south of London. It's a lovely sunny morning here, and we've got people on here from all around the world. So we have Julia, who heads up our career services team over in Auckland in New Zealand, who I was with a few months ago, which is great, and also Tamara, who heads up our enrollment team in Brisbane in Australia. So why don't we start with Julia? If you just give us an intro about who you are and what your role is.
Yeah, thanks, Jono. My name's Julia. I'm the head of career services here for the Asia Pacific team, Australia New Zealand team, I should say, sorry. So what my team does is we look after the student's journey for when they enroll with us from a job search perspective. So when you enroll, you'll be dedicated to a student care consultant, but also to a career services consultant. And we will look after you right from the beginning, from looking for work. So we start out with the first part of the process by helping you design your CV to ensure that you look marketable. We then go on to a LinkedIn piece, as well as the networking process within LinkedIn, as well as what other sort of tools you can use to apply for work outside of job boards. And then the final piece of it all is that we do an interview preparation piece with you, helping you to answer any questions that may come up. Most of the time nowadays, a behavioural-based interview is the go-to style of interview. So we'll help you prepare those answers, as well as a lot of the time within tech, you probably will have to present some sort of, or do some sort of assessment, or present some of your work, so you can showcase your skills there as well.
Thanks, Julia. That's great. So, so as I say, I'm based in the UK. We've also got homes in Ireland, in Australia and New Zealand as well. We have over 40,000 students around the world that we've been helping out for over 13 years now. And the Learning People itself is just growing and growing and growing as we help more students fulfill their lives and either change career, upskill, or start new careers. You're probably some way through your research stage, some further down than others. Some of you have spoken with us before, but I would imagine that you're all here to do some research, to kind of learn new skills, maybe land a new job, and ultimately earn more money at the same time to live a better life. And that's what we're here to do, to help you. As Julie said, our career services team is extremely special to us. We have a 97% employment success rate from people who enroll with us. So we really hold your hand from start to finish. One of the key things that you do when you first contact us is have a career consultation call with our career consultants. And Tamara, do you want to tell us a bit about your role and career consultations and what happens?
Yeah, absolutely. So I manage a team of career consultants over here in Brisbane, and basically what their role is to just learn about you first up. They want to understand what you're doing for a job at the moment, maybe why you're looking at doing this kind of training, and then from there, really, uncovering why it is you're looking at doing it, because all of those whys really determine the right courses for you. So the consultation call that you'll have is really just you telling us why you're looking at this in the first place. And what the consultants are experienced in is understanding what certifications can do for your future career opportunities. They want to match your future goals and past experience and transferable skills to the right certification to make sure at the end of it, you're gaining the role that you want. And then obviously student care and career services help from there. So my team, they want to learn about you, they care about the results, and want to recommend the right course pathway for you.
Thanks, Tamara. So at the end of this session, what I would say to do is, if you haven't already, make sure you get in touch with us and have that career consultation. Coding it's a mega industry. It's booming all around the world. I took some stats yesterday. These are taken from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. That employment in web developers and digital designers is expected to grow 13%. Up until 2030, which is faster than the average of all occupations, which is, that shows in itself how much the demand is and how it's booming. Every company needs some kind of web developer in some format. If you do have any questions, just pop it into the chat as well, and we can ask those as we go through the sessions. When you registered, there was also an opportunity to ask questions, so we'll get to those shortly. I want to introduce Liz now, who's one of our students. Liz has completed her front-end dev certification, secured a role as a test analyst at Rooster Moore. Thank you so much for joining us, Liz. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me.
It's great. I love having these sessions where we actually get to meet our students. You've been through the journey and just learning about your experience and how you found learning people and how you found the course itself. So let's start by just asking, why did you want to get certified?
Okay, so I had finished uni, and initially I wanted to become a cybersecurity analyst, but I actually had no industry qualifications because I was just doing it as a major at university. So I went online and I popped in the link, the learning pool came up. So I joined as a cyber analyst student. And as the months progressed, I saw the coding part of it and I wanted to change, which is something that obviously worked out for me. And I really appreciate how flexible the learning people were, because I just had to pick up the phone. We had a conversation. I switched up into coding. I did coding up for a few months. And again, in that whole learning process, because, I was still new to code, I didn't have any prior knowledge of it. So with the course material, obviously helps you learn coding, even from scratch. Even if you don't know it, you can still come on board. The material will literally help you out. And even in my learning process, I also got an immense amount of support from the team, which made everything so much easier for me. And so when I finished my front end part, I saw the test analyst part, and they were like, oh, you have to do this certification. So I kind of got onto that, also passed that exam. And even in the whole exam process, they were still supporting me, just stay with me along the whole way. And that's how I just ended up going from a uni student who's unemployed, doesn't know what to do with a career, to now being a test analyst at a very good company.
That's fantastic to hear. It really is. So when you clicked on the link to go through to Learning People, what was the first call that you had with Learning People like? Can you remember it?
Yes, that was about last year. Yeah, it was just, again, the call was solely based on just getting to know you, my background, what I'm interested in, what am I trying to achieve, to kind of see if I'm a perfect fit and to see how they can help me achieve my career goals as well. They were very patient, asking all the right questions. And, obviously after the first call, there's more follow-up. So you stay in contact and they're with you throughout the whole process.
And all of our training is online, so it's designed to fit around, busy schedules, whether it be family commitments, work, whatever that might be. So you can effectively learn 24/7. But how did you find online training compared to classroom training?
One of the big pros of the online training is even after you do a module, if you forget about the module, you can go back and you can retake it, compared to classrooms, just in normal uni schedules. If you do something week 1 and you're week 7, you can't really go back and relive what happened in week 1. But because it's online and you could always access the materials and everything, it makes it easier for you to actually learn the material, revise it, and actually put it in your brain so you know what you're actually doing. So I feel like it gives you more of a practical edge in a sense.
So after you've completed the studies, how long did that take you? About 12 months?
Yes, because again, I switched and I also got an extension to finish off my coding and my testing. Yeah. So
after you completed that, you were working with career services throughout your learning. When did you secure your role with Rooster Moore?
I got in with Foster Moore in May, the 2nd of May is when I got it. Actually, no, that's the day I first started work, but I got my job contract a month before that. So let's go. Is it April before May? Yeah, in April.
I have to work backwards. April, May. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. So you're new into the role. So can you give us a bit of detail about what that role is and what you have to do on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, yes. So right now I'm a graduate test analyst for Forster Moore, which is like this company in New Zealand. And day to day, I work on manual testing, which is what I do mostly. In terms of automation testing, we do have an in-house tool, which again, I've had to learn and kind of get into that. I take part in, Scrum meetings, daily stand-up, refinement, that kind of stuff. Just like the whole testing side is what I'm doing for the company right now.
And so what do you love about the role? Is it challenging?
Yes. Again, it's in IT, it's challenging. With testing, like you can never know anything, because again, one of the testing principles that we learn is like you can never fully test a software to the point where it's perfect. So every day it's a new challenge, like and you never know what you're gonna get. And we're always like learning on the job. Yeah.
And you mentioned before, so do you have the opportunity to work from home a lot as well as a hybrid role?
Yes, so it's a hybrid role, and because I'm a graduate, I go 2 days so 2 days work from home, 3 days into office. But as I progress, the work from home could shift to 3 days, but it's a hybrid role.
So in terms of, say, software testing, what kind of software do you test? What do they build the software for?
Okay, so we are into registries. So let's say in New Zealand, if you want to register your company, so when you go into, I think it's called companies.something online. So that whole software is what we build for different parts of the world. So right now we're making one for Botswana in South Africa.
Okay, and how long would the testing process be before something is released, or does it change each time?
It changes, because right now I came in like halfway through the SEPA project is what we call it. So I think we'll be testing this one for another 6 to 9 months before it's out for release.
Okay, super interesting. And then in terms of your career path, you've just started in this role. Have you thought about how you will further climb the ladder, or you just want to settle into this job for a period and then look at upskilling? Have you had any thoughts?
Yeah, so right now, obviously, I'm new to the testing role. I want to do this for like another 6 months. But again, I came back to the learning people because I am looking to upskill. So the next goal is to get my Scrum certification and see how I can intertwine this with my ISTQB certification and also my background in front-end development to see how I could further progress in the IT world.
And when you secured your role, how did having the certification that you have help get the role? What was the interview process like as well?
So the certification actually gave me the advantage over other people because they were surprised that with somebody like me who's just new to the industry, I've been able to take the exam and actually pass it. Because they say when it comes to testers, you usually have to work for like 2-3 years before you have the knowledge to pass the exam. But for me, who didn't have the industry knowledge, like practical knowledge, but I still managed to pass the exam, that gave me an advantage, and they were very impressed with the certification.
And did you have a face-to-face interview, or was that online to begin with? It's all changed, obviously.
So first So first I had a phone interview, and then they called me in for a face-to-face interview, which is supposed to be like 30 minutes. But because, of my certification and like the knowledge I gained from my training, it ended up being like an hour, 15 minutes. And soon after, I just got the job.
That's great. You just know it's gone well. Can you tell us a bit more about your experience with career services as well, please, Liz?
Yeah, so career service was really, again, like I said before, they're really flexible and helpful when it came to my journey, because, just because I stuck with, no, not stuck, because I started with the cybersecurity course, as time progresses and like any individuals, you can evolve, or like your interests could change. I wasn't stuck in the one field. I was given the opportunity to actually express myself and say, hey, I feel like, maybe this is better suited for me. And just the whole transferring process was just made easier by them.
How long did you think you worked with career services during your training? Was it a few months in that you got in contact with them?
Yes, because I had them at the beginning, and then I think about 4 or 5 months in, that's when I got in contact with them again.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And then did you have a LinkedIn profile before?
Well, I had, but it's like with those LinkedIn profiles, just your name with nothing on it. So It was pretty much blank, was non-existent, and they actually helped me build that as well.
Yeah, great. We hear a lot of success through LinkedIn, which we'll talk to Julia about shortly. So it's great to hear your story so far. What advice would you give to anyone on this session who's going to watch this session about getting into coding and just changing a career in general?
I feel like the most important thing when it comes to especially changing a career is finding the right resources and finding the right support, because it makes it so much easier for you. And when it comes to that, I'll definitely recommend the Learning People, because it has worked out for me, and I've also referred it to my friends. So when you have the right resources and the right support, it just makes everything so much easier, and you can settle into your career and actually find success.
Fantastic, thank you. So what I want to do now is have this as kind of an open forum and answer some questions that we've been sent in from people on the session, and if we have any more come through. So feel free, please, to answer these as well, Liz. First question that we had is from Caitlin, and I think this would be aimed at Tamara. Simply, how do we get started?
Yeah, so obviously, as we mentioned before, the first step is to inquire. And then from there, you have that consultation call. Now, one piece of, I guess, advice or something I would really recommend is come into that consultation call wanting a solution or really wanting to understand the best next step for yourself, because the career consultants genuinely want to provide the best recommendation for you. Each course is really different, and each course has different prerequisites and different career pathways. So being able to be open with your, future goals, whether that's career or financial, is going to help your consultant recommend the right course for you. So really, those are the first two steps that I would obviously recommend.
And stay with you, Tamara. A question from Hetal. The best way to practice, what is the best way to practice if your current role does not require coding?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because sometimes it can feel overwhelming if you're not doing it day to day, but you're going to be studying it. And Liz sort of touched on it before. It just comes down to the flexibility of the training and the fact that it is 24/7. So about 80% of our students are working full time. So even if, their everyday job has nothing to do with coding or no opportunity to practice, you still have that ability to come home after work or in the weekends or whenever it suits you and then practice. The labs are available 24/7. You can continuously practice to really hone in your skills. And as Liz said, really get it stuck in your brain. And, 24/7, whether you are, at home or in a library or a coffee shop, it's always available. So there's always that flexibility to make it work for you.
And Liz, how did that work for you? How disciplined were you throughout your training that you need to allocate a certain amount of time each day or week? How did it work for you?
Okay, so I would again work during the day, then I'll study at night. And obviously, because I had career goals, I had to stick to my schedule. So that's one thing that I'll also say is if you don't have the determination, then online learning, everything kind of blurs into one. Like you'd go to one session today, you'd be like, oh, I'll skip tomorrow, before you know it's been 3 months. So again, you have to be determined and you have to take the time to learn the skills, go to the classes, understand what they're saying. But yeah, it really helps.
Was there any periods where you started pulling your hair out and I can't do this, or was it pretty plain sailing?
No, so with my first course for the cybersecurity, that is why I initially switched, because I was faithful for 2 months. And then for 3 months, I just lost the plot. I just stopped going to classes. And before I noticed, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. So again, it takes a lot of determination, and the good thing as well, when it comes to the platform, they actually send out reminders. So let's say you started a course and then you kind of fall back for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They'll be like, hey, we noticed, you haven't been as active, jump back online and get it back on track with your learning, which actually helps to a certain extent as well.
I think that's key as well as say part of our services with student care. We're always wanting to check in to ensure that you're on the right track, and if there is any periods which might be a bit challenging, and of course there will be, then that's when they're there just to guide you and get back on the pathway again. So that's great to hear. Here's a question to Julia from Brian. how does one get into coding without a degree in IT, and how easy is it? Also, how many certifications are needed to get employed?
The first part of that question regarding degree, it's not absolutely necessary within IT or within software development or development to have a degree. The most important thing for you to have is those practical skills so you can share and showcase your knowledge. So say, for example, Liz was just discussing that before, what she had to do at interview. If you're going in for a development interview, you more than likely will have some sort of portfolio of projects that you've worked on, a GitHub portfolio that you can showcase. So it's kind of like an artist where you're going in to showcase your skills and discuss your knowledge. There may be some testing involved in there as well. That's what I like about IT. It's black and white. You can have all the theory in the world, but if you can't actually demonstrate the skills of what you learnt, you're not going to get the job. Certifications, I think Liz has gained her ISTQB, which is the testing board certification qualification. Within coding and development, as long as you have the up-to-date skills, up-to-date languages and front and back end, HTML, Python and things like that, that will be enough. Well, not enough, but it will get you started. But you've got to keep current with those languages, because what you've learned, developers that have learned different coding languages from 20 years ago won't be used now, so you've got to keep up with the current languages of what's being used in the market. Otherwise, you're not going to get a job.
And let's stay with you, Julia. Question from Christian. How can I gain experience if companies require experience for a junior developer?
Yeah, and I know that's a very common question that we get with people who prior to enrollment, because they're always concerned about, I haven't got any experience. But you're not going to have the knowledge until you train, are you? So, and because of the skill shortage there within the industry, particularly within coding and development, there's just not enough people with the right level of skills. So you can't just go out and do any kind of random course. You've got to do the right training and the right qualifications to get that role. And again, I touched on it before, as a junior developer, you're going to be conducting projects throughout your training that you'll have to submit and mark, and you will be able to start building your own portfolio on a platform called GitHub. Again, you'll be able to take that into interview and showcase your skills of what you've learned and what you know. So in this instance, if you're applying for a junior development role, your experience comes from your training. So that's, and we will help you prepare for that in career services, showcasing it on your CV, LinkedIn, how to communicate that effectively. But again, you're starting from scratch. So as you start going through the training, your knowledge will build and you'll be able to really communicate like a professional at the end of it.
Just so Liz, just to get an understanding from you with your current role, when you're putting into practice, whether you're coding and you're testing and you find something that is too challenging, is there people to support you or seniors that you can go to help with a project?
Yes, because I am a graduate in the company, so there are also junior testers, intermediate and seniors. So how the hierarchy works in my role is I'm paired up with a senior tester, and she's my buddy for the first 9 months. So every time I'm confused or I need help, I just ping her and we talk about it. And to also answer the question when it comes to experience, one of the key things that I've noticed is when it comes to IT, especially now when they're hiring, they ask for experience because they want you to demonstrate that you know what you're doing. So at the end of the day, if you actually know your training and you can go to an interview and present your skills, that would actually account for more than somebody who's worked at another company for a year, but they can't showcase anything. So obviously keep that in mind as also. It also helps to, again, know what you're doing, demonstrate it more than it actually helps to have experience saying, I've worked here as a tester or like I've worked here as a developer, if you can't showcase what you can actually do.
Question from Donald. Thanks for sending this in. Hope you're doing well, Donald. Donald says, what languages are taught for front-end skills, and how is this structured for those with no knowledge of coding? Which is a great question. Who wants to take that one?
I can take that one.
Go for it, Tamara.
So the languages that we cover in our front-end training, it's your HTML, your Java, JavaScript, C++, CSS, React, and Redux. But within that front end, you're also learning, you know, how to create your projects, all about your GitHub and things like that as well. But those are the main languages that you learn in the front end. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, keep typing away and asking more questions if you need anything else answered. Great.
And to answer the part about, you know, how easy it is for someone who doesn't like understand coding, it's super easy. Because again, for me, I didn't do code when I was at university. So I came in from a business background. I went into the platform and I can understand the content. So it's catered for all levels, I would say.
When I started in getting into marketing, actually, I learned to build websites, and then just learned the basics of HTML and CSS. And I can't tell you how much that has helped me just in terms of my career as well, which obviously isn't directly linked to coding. It's in marketing, but it's a great skill to have, and it's surprising how many places that you will actually use kind of front-end code as well. Another question to Tamara. I don't know much about coding, but want to move to coding in my career. How do I understand the industry trend? That's from Mansi.
So basically, almost every business in the world either uses a website or a database or software. All of them require some form of coding. So it's an incredibly in-demand skill set. And the skills you're going to learn are going to allow you to work across all industries, because it's the same, regardless of where you're working. So I guess an example, after COVID, many businesses, they had to adjust the way they operated. So for some, it meant they had to increase or improve their online presence, or move their systems into the cloud, for example. You know, coding, I guess, as well, is also a skill set that can be utilized across other areas of IT. So cybersecurity, cloud, blockchain, data science, you know. So once you're in, you can specialize and move into an area that you really enjoy, as well as sort of giving you the opportunity to follow those demand trends when it comes to salaries and job demand across, you know, all the industries.
Do you have anything to add to that, Liz, in terms of how you keep up with trends?
Not really. I'm still kind of new to my role. But one thing I will say is, like, when it comes to coding, even though I'm a tester, I still need to know code, because when it comes to automation, we actually use Selenium using Java. So the skill in itself is very transferable across different IT careers. Is
there any groups that you've signed up for, like industry groups? Or any materials online, anything specific?
Not really.
Okay. Let's have another question to Tamara then, from Julie. What knowledge do I need to code? Simple question.
Easy peasy. None. As Liz said before, she had no background in code, and has obviously done really, really well. So our training is designed to ensure that you start from the foundational skills and work your way up. And I think it's also really important to acknowledge, you know, in order to become good at something, you have to be bad at it first. And that's what learning is. And that's why our training's flexible. That's why we have all our forms of support to help you through the training and then obviously into a career. So you don't need any background or knowledge in code. You just need to, you know, have the passion and motivation to do it.
We've got a few more questions before we finish this session, which has been extremely interesting. So thank you so much, Liz. This is from Reza, and a question to Julia. How has the market changed in regards to what you need to do? How has the market changed in regards to what you need to do for the job? And it would be good to know. Does that make sense?
Say it again. Sorry.
How has the market changed in regards to what we need to do for the job? It would be good to know. So how's the, we reword this from Razor.
How I interpret that, and I hope I've got it right, and feel free to chip in, Razor, if you need to. The way the market has moved is in terms of training of what I would recommend that you do to do both front and back end, with testing in there, as well as project. I know that it sounds like a lot, but it would be incredibly helpful to have that full stack knowledge, which means that you've got front and back end. As Tamara touched on before, the knowledge with languages now is used significantly within all job markets, really. We had a librarian who needed to understand Python last year. That's how she got the job as a librarian, because she needed to know Python. So it's just infiltrating every area within every job out there. So I mean, they teach it at school now, code. So that's it's a far better for you to market yourself that way, I would say, to understand both.
Yeah.
Do you think that's
that makes sense? Yeah. How has the market changed in regards to what you need to do the job? That would be good to know. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yes, we're teaching coding in schools, which it's incredible, isn't it, how the syllabus has changed. But then it's if we're going to keep up with these, what we said at the start of the session from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, employment opportunities in the area of coding are estimated to increase by 20.5% this year alone, which is mega.
And I think, sorry, just to interject there, I think when people get into the industry, they've landed their first job, they just need to keep their knowledge and do their own research to keep themselves fresh with the things that are changing within the market as well. You know what I mean? As I said, developers with some of the languages that they learned 20 years ago won't be used now. Yeah. So, once you're in the industry, you'll have a better understanding of how to keep up and keep fresh with those skill sets.
Thanks, Julia. Question to Tamara from Dipti. Do we have to have any sort of background to make a career in this field?
Again, no. You don't need to have worked in any kind of IT role before moving into code. Sometimes, and Julia can probably confirm this, is sometimes what's more important is actually your transferable skills. Those communication skills, teamwork skills, any kind of experience with projects, all of that is going to benefit you greatly in this role, regardless of whether or not you know what HTML even stands for. So your transferable skills and the person you are and your past, jobs, all of that will benefit this career move. So you don't have to have any background. Our student care team are there to support you through the training, help you with extra study resources, motivation, study plans, and everything like that. The mentors are there to help you, answer questions about the specifics of the code that you're learning, helping you with your projects to make you, marketable and be able to demonstrate your skill set. And then obviously career services are there to help you navigate a job market that you're probably quite unfamiliar with. So all of those facets of support, coupled with your transferable skills and experience, that's all you need. And you'll learn everything else you need to along the way.
We typically get asked, are you ever too old to learn how to code? Is age ever a barrier? And I mean, it's not. We've recently had in the UK a lady in her 70s has enrolled on a coding course purely because she just wants to learn it, and she's fascinated by it, and it's always in the news. So just to keep in with the times, I guess, and it's given us something to do. but we've helped people of all ages, career change, career start, you know, shifting into new roles. So please don't, if you are thinking that, don't let age be a barrier to you as well. Right, fantastic. So that's all the questions that we've been sent in. Liz, so just a couple more questions for you. So now you're certified and you're in a role, which is fantastic. Have you thought about, you obviously want to stay here, you said, for 6 months, a year, and progress in this role, but have you thought about working overseas? Because obviously coding can take you anywhere in the world. Is that something that appeals to you?
Yeah, 100%. So like after I get a few more months, I'd say, of industry experience, I'm open to opportunities overseas. Yeah.
We always, you know, say paint the picture of, if you learn to code, you can literally go and sit on a beach with a laptop and work from a beach, which, you know, you typically can if you've got an internet connection. But it is one of those industries, obviously, where you're not grafting. You can sit down at your laptop and do that if so wish, and which is one of the beauties of learning how to code. And then final question for you, Liz, was this worth the investment?
100%. That's like one of the best investments I've made in my entire life as a kid just coming out of university. Because, and here's the thing, and I often tell my parents this, if I could go back, I don't think I'd even go to university. I would just start from here and just kickstart my career. But no, it's a very good investment.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Listen, it's great to hear your experience. Thank you for sharing it with us. I'm sure you've inspired, you know, everyone who's gonna watch this and is on the session today. So it's great. And please just keep in touch, you know, over the coming months, and keep us updated on where you are. It will be great to hear. So thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Please do get in touch with us. Make sure you have that career consultation call. That's where you need to start, and we'll break everything down for you and go from there. Julia, Tamara, thank you, and also Jacinth. You can't see her, but she's done all of the work on putting this seminar on, so thank you so much for that. And we look forward to speaking with you soon.